latest town council meeting reviews an extensive update from acting town manager Robert Parent. Council members also discussed the hiring process for the permanent position of town manager. All the details coming up.
Plus, the planning board opens a public hearing about new site plan review for a commercial building that will be located on Baldwin Street. The building presentation just ahead.
Also, we have highlights from the latest Rotary Club Concert Summer Series and find out what other popular bands are coming to East Longmeadow next.
And later, our weekly segment, Library Learning. East Longmeadow Public Library invites author Kirk Westphal for a special book signing to benefit the Special Olympics.
Those stories and much more ahead on ELCAT News Update. Thanks for tuning in to ELCAT News Update. I'm Rebecca Green.
And I'm Anthony Federici.
We begin the show with the latest town council meeting held on July 12th. DPW Superintendent Robert Parent was recently selected to serve as the town's acting town manager. Parent dives into work and starts the meeting with an overall town communication update.
The first item that I put on the town manager communication is relative to what I've titled hiring confirmations. And the reason that I've used that title is, as the councilors are probably aware, at some point in the future, when the town hires a permanent town manager, that responsibility, that authority will rest fully with the town manager. At this point, because the authority of the acting town manager is limited, I need to come forward to you with any hires, fires, significant disciplinary actions. I did want to give you an update on two key positions that we are expecting to be hiring a candidate for sometime in the near future. And first is the library director, and I believe we heard a little bit about that at the last council meeting. First thing I did was to really dig into the status of that hiring process, and it was has been a very long process. It's taken months to go through the recommended process by the Massachusetts, I believe it's Massachusetts License Library Commission. Library trustees have identified a candidate that they feel is extremely well qualified for this position. One thing I did learn, though, about the candidate is that they had actually not extended or even had a discussion regarding compensation or benefits with this candidate. So I initiated that discussion last week to make the candidate aware of what we had to offer.
I move that we authorize the acting town manager to move forward when he feels that the time is proper, it's adequate, on the library director position.
Another very key position, which there's been significant discussion about, is the position of building commissioner. And I wanted to give the council an update of where we stand there. The position of the building commissioner was posted internally and externally, and the deadline for submittals was towards the end of June. I did read the job description that was posted and confirm that it was an appropriate job description for what I believe the town is looking for. Not only does it cover the typical building commissioner responsibilities, but it also covers the zoning enforcement responsibilities, which I understand has been a concern in the past. We had 6 candidates come forward. So the plan at this point that I have is to interview the top 2 candidates. I've put together I've reached out to the town of Longmeadow. I've first gotten the approval of the Longmeadow town manager to involve the Longmeadow building inspector in a review committee, and I've also reached out to Rob McDonald, the director of planning, obviously from a zoning enforcement standpoint, to be part of a review committee as well. So my plan at this point is to move forward with interviews of those 2 most highly qualified candidates with this 3-person screening committee, and see where we go from here. Looking a little bit further ahead in the future, there are some other hiring needs that I've become aware of. One is the police department. The police department currently have 4 positions open. Police department, as you probably know, has to follow the civil service process. They are hoping to find a couple of the 4 candidates through a lateral transfer from another community. So it's a faster process and actually a lower cost process, because we don't have to send a candidate through the academy. But one way or the other, they are actively in the process of reaching out to civil service to try to identify officers that can fill those 4 positions.
Next, Town Council Chair Kevin Manley talks about the hiring process for a permanent town manager.
I had a long discussion with the Collins Center. Dick Kobayashi is the president, I guess, for lack of a better term, of the Collins Center, and 2 days this past week, regarding the recruitment process, what they would like to see done, some of the things that they want to do. Very impressive already with what their ideas are. One of the things is that they want to come interview each member of the council individually, and come up with and I know Mary talked about this a little bit, was come up with a composite of what we're looking for a town manager. The plan is to, at some point, hopefully before the end of July, have them meet with the department heads, sort collectively, not individually, and get a consensus from the department heads of what they like. They're going to meet, they'd like to meet separately with the fire chief and police chief to discuss with them what their specific needs are regarding the candidate, and what their specific needs of their departments are, kind of how they put that profile together. They're looking to do that by, like I said, the end of July.
Did we already enter into the intergovernmental agreement? Did you already sign it?
Verbally, we haven't signed it yet, but I talked to him and he knows that basically it's a formality to sign it. They know we're doing it.
Okay.
As far as the interim town manager goes, we got 2 resumes. 2 qualified candidates, it looks like. I asked Joe to reach out to the candidates and do some, background, find out, certain things, and he'll share that. Just like I asked Mike to go to the building inspectors and find out those, if they're willing to cover and that sort of thing. So Joe, actually being at HR and that is his area, we kind of tasked him to see if he could talk to him, and he can talk to us now about what, sort of.
Yeah, so the 2 candidates that were forwarded to us did have the opportunity to speak to both of them this week, and again, this wasn't a formal interview. It was just more of a fact-finding, making sure they were still available, what their outlook looked like, and both of them are available as full-time interim managers, and both of them would like to consider applying for the permanent town manager, as long as that doesn't, they're not precluded by the charter from being the interim and then being the permanent town manager.
Yeah.
And I don't believe there's language in there that suggests that. So both of them are highly qualified, and I guess my concern at this point is that we kind of missed the cutoff date to post this on the MMA. But the purpose of delaying these 2 particular candidates, there's a couple concerns. One is that we have Bob for a 30-day term. He's also in the busiest part of his season. Number 2 is that we could wait for 50 more resumes, and these could be the 2 most qualified we had, and then they're no longer available. I think that we can ask them to both be present at the next meeting, and we can set time on the agenda to have a formal interview process.
One thing you could do, which we've done before, is propose questions and send them, in this case, to the acting town manager. I'm trying to get my title straight. And then from that, X number of questions can be culled, and then, or we can send, they can all be sent to us and choose the best questions. Or
Is it
to
acceptable
someone.
if I met with Bob in a week and hone the questions down?
Yeah.
And sent a final version out to everybody that...
I think that's a good idea, yeah.
If you guys are okay with that, I'd be happy to do that. I can meet with him, and maybe by...
I'll have some of those
next
answers
Friday.
too from Collins tomorrow. It should be tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
And so we can, take a look at what
Okay.
they've asked in the past. And
I'm happy to do that and then we'll get a final email that no one has to respond to after everyone, shares their thoughts. Does that make sense? Good? Acceptable?
I like it.
that's
Okay.
perfect.
The planning board also met last week. The board opened a public hearing for audience members to ask questions about a new site plan for a warehouse building on Baldwin Street. A building presentation was given by commercial engineer Gary Weiner.
I'm a registered professional engineer working for Mr. Charles Richard, who is proposing to construct a 1,690 square foot warehouse building in the industrial zone on Baldwin Street. What Mr. Richard is proposing to do is construct, as I say, a warehousing facility for his construction company. We're proposing the building, which is about 20 feet in height and about 1,690 square feet. Of concern, and probably the most important point in that review, is that the town currently, this is a town drain. It's 24-inch. It services streets to the west of the site. No easement was ever taken for this drain, so that it currently exists as what may be described as a prescriptive easement, based upon the fact it's been in the ground about over 20 years and maybe a lot longer than that. In discussion, they've asked for a 15-foot easement, which would require the building to either be downsized or moved to the north in violation of the north zoning setback requirements. We have offered to DPW and would provide a 12-foot easement, which would provide him access to the stormwater drain. And again, along this area, this is all to the south. The southerly property is all paved area till you get to the very rear. There's a garage on that is somewhat ramshackle. We've indicated also that if we would provide the additional 3 feet after we got by the building if they were holding to the 15 feet, so that they would not have to impact on the garage.
The building that he's going to put up, he's using it as what?
A warehouse.
A warehouse? But what is the noise level going to be?
I mean, it's pretty good. It's a warehousing establishment. Trucks are going to go in and park and during the normal operating hours that they're allowed to.
And whatever he puts up, I won't have to look at any parking cars or stuff like that from my
You
house.
very well may, because what happens is that once the building goes up, there are 2 parking places that would be at the rear. So if
You're not putting anything across there, so I won't be seeing those parking.
we're planting 3 shade trees along the back line, but no formal screen. No, we're not planning on a fence or a screen.
Type of business would you be considered a warehouse? What are you looking to do in there as far as noise and chemical smell?
Chemical smell, none. I mean, at this point, there's nothing proposed that would be under a SIC classification or an industrial classification. However, Mr. Richard is a contractor. He would store potentially a small backhoe and construction supplies in there.
Hazardous materials?
Hazardous?
Would there be hazardous materials in there?
Gasoline.
Any hazardous materials governed by the fire department. So,
Right.
I mean, at this point, it's not planned. I mean, we're not proposing to do that, no.
The site plan passed contingent on the board's recommendations. If the police or fire department find any issues regarding the property, then the planning board will hold another public hearing.
Switching gears, ELCAT covered the latest Rotary Club Summer Concert Series. On July 13th, the talented Diamond Collection performed for residents. Allie Carrington is on the scene with this wrap-up.
Hi guys, Allie here at the high school fields for the Rotary Club Summer Concert Series. With about an hour until showtime, residents are already setting up their chairs so they can sit back and relax and enjoy the Diamond Collection. Diamond Collection is an 8-piece tribute band dedicated to carefully recreating the songs and sounds of Neil Diamond. Residents enjoyed the performance as many audience members got up to dance. Residents also enjoyed the concession stand that sells hot dogs, pizza, soda, and more. Only 4 concerts left. All concerts take place at the East Long Meadow High School fields every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Stay tuned for next week's show as we'll have a wrap-up from the popular Jimmy Buffett band Changes on Latitude. I'm Allie Carrington. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Allie. If you missed the Diamond Collection, be sure to catch the next concert featuring the band Union Jack, a British invasion band that will take you back to the days of the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Kinks, and more. See you there.
Now it's time to uncover this week's local star. Michael Boucher of East Long Meadow received the 2016 East Long Meadow Lions Club Distinguished Citizen of the Year Award. The Lions Club mission is to provide volunteer service for their community, encourage peace, and promote understanding. For more information about the East Long Meadow Lions Club and how you can get involved, head over to ellions.org.
Now it's time for a weekly segment, Library Learning, where we let you know what's happening at the East Long Meadow Public Library. Last week, the library hosted a 2-part special event to benefit the Special Olympics. The event started with a rail trail rally on the East Long Meadow Bike Trail, where participants biked and walked to raise money for the Special Olympics. Shortly after, residents gathered in the library community room to enjoy pizza, raffle prizes, and most importantly, a book signing from special guest Kirk Westfall. author of the inspirational book, No Ordinary Game.
So I wrote this book over a period of about 10 years, collecting stories that have happened to me in my own life, to my friends, to my children, to people I know, who have experienced the glory and the grandeur of sports, not on television, not on the front page, but in their own backyards or down the street at the ball field or wherever it may be that people gather. It's a story of a collection of 7 true stories that have happened. I'll read a little excerpt of one of them tonight. But I want to start by just talking about the type of story that inspired this. And it's the kind of story that made me realize that the Special Olympics was the place that I'd like to give money for this book, because what better venue than the Special Olympics do these great moments happen, these great inspirational moments of working together or accomplishing something that you never thought possible.
Moving on to upcoming library events, get ready for a cultural experience from the Pioneer Valley's premier Middle Eastern dance troupe, the Crescent Dancers. The professional dancers will teach guests a belly dance lesson that is not only fun, but a great way to work out. The program takes place on Monday, July 25th at 6 p.m. in the library community room. Well, that will do it for this edition of ELCAT News Update. Be sure to watch meetings on demand at our YouTube channel, ELCAT 01028. Follow us on Facebook and watch us on cable channel 191 and 193.
For cable channel times, make sure to check out our ELCAT program guide, available at the Town Hall, Library, and Senior Center. Also check your mail, as the programs will be delivered monthly within the reminder.
Until next time, I'm Anthony Federici.
And I'm Rebecca Green. Thanks for watching. See you next week.